Hey everyone, this is Luck God. I've got a 75 point bat rep for you today. The scenario is the Pit 2. It will be Makeda1 versus Sturgis. So I'll start by going over the terrain, which starting from the top left is a hill, then a concealment based linear obstacle, then a patch of water, and then a obstruction being a house. Then in the left-hand rectangular zone there is another patch of water. In the central zone there is another obstruction, another house. And then just slightly north of it a patch of rough terrain. And then in the right-hand zone there is a forest. Just below the left-hand zone there is another forest. And then to the right of that a patch of rubble. And then a wall linear obstacle. So my opponent's army is Makeda1. In her battle group she has an Aradus Sentinel, a Basilisk Krea, a Cyclops Shaman, a Titan Gladiator, a Titan Sentry. He has a Paingiver Bloodrunner Master Tormentor solo, a unit of Beast Handlers, a max unit of Praetorian Keltarii. I will probably mispronounce that a lot. They have been proxied by Slingers. They're the unit in the middle of his deployment zone. And on the right of his deployment zone is a max unit of Praetorian Swordsmen with the officer attachment. My list today is Sturgis with a Squire. This is in the heavy metal theme. He has 3 Centurions and 2 Cyclones. Arlen Strangeways, Alison Jakes running a Defender, a Journeyman running a Charger, and a unit of Mechanics. I just finished painting up my 3rd Centurion and my 2 Cyclones, so I felt like using them, and Sturgis seemed like a good pick. So I've got first turn, so what I choose to do is have all my heavies run up as far, quite far. Sturgis puts Arcane Shield up onto the middle Centurion. He puts Snipe up on Jakes' Defender on the left. The Journeyman Warcaster puts Arcane Shield up on the right hand Centurion. So my 2 Arcane Shielded Centurions are relatively next to each other, heading up the middle of the board. Everything else runs up. I make sure to leave all of my mechanics 6 inches back from my Warjacks, so if the Warjacks do get damaged by the Sentinel's ranged attack, they can be repaired, but they shouldn't get a shot scattered onto them at this distance. So, Skorne turn 1. Makeda puts Quicken up on the unit of Keltarii. She walks up. I think she puts Rush on one of the beasts, and then she pops her feet. All of her war beasts move up. The Krea puts up Paralytic Aura. The Sentinel fires at my army, but the shot scatters short, but it leaves its remaining play AoE. His units run around and run to get ready to try and get into me next turn, and the Shaman is off on the left on top of the hill. So with this being Makeda's feet turn, there's not really much chance of being able to kill his infantry. I could use Sturgis' feet to drag a few of them out of the range of the feet, but it seems like a waste. So instead I opt to just ignore them and jam them with my heavies. All 3 of my Centurions use Polarity Shield this turn, so none of them will be charged. The one on the right and the one on the left are contesting both zones each. So with Arcane Shield on both, the ones in front of his heavies and the one on the left being far out, it seems like he shouldn't be able to score the zone. My Defender puts a shot into the Cyclops Shaman, doing a few points of damage to it. Both of my Cyclones pop down covering fires in front of his army to slow their advance, and Sturgis drops out an electrical storm which scatters behind the house. You can barely see my template. I pass So Skorne turn 2. His Sentinel walks up and shoots my objective, doing a few points of damage to it. He maneuvers his Swordsman, and a couple of them charge into the objective as well and roll pretty terribly. They only do a bit of damage, so the objective survives. He runs his Keltarii to engage my army, and this is when I find out that they have parry. I did not realise they had parry. So two of them charge and kill some mechanics, which I didn't expect. One of them charges the defender but doesn't do anything to it, and I've got a unit in my back lines which I wasn't expecting. All of his war beasts move up, most of them contesting the zone. The Krea's aura is up, so it's harder to shoot, and with all the shield guards, Makeda's sitting pretty safe. So Cygnar turn 3. Bit of a dilemma with so many infantry jamming up my lines, but luckily Sturgis has the perfect tool for this. So here's a picture of what my area looks like before Sturgis feats. So what I do is I have the junior charge a Keltarii to kill it, to free up the Cyclone on the right, which drops a covering fire in front of the rightmost Centurion. The Cyclone in the middle of the board takes a free strike from one Keltarii and drops a covering fire by the Centurion to the left. And then Sturgis positions, so 4 of the Keltarii will be dragged within to be within 3 of him at the end of the drag, which will cause them to take the POW 12 damage from his feet. I opt not to move the Squire first because I don't want the 14-inch control area. If I had the 14-inch, I might be dragging some of the Titans towards me. I only want to be dragging the Aradus Sentinel in. So Sturgis pops his feet, and the end result is that the 4 that got dragged through covering fires all die, and out of the 4 that got dragged near Sturgis, 1 of them survives because I roll double 1s for the damage on him. This has also unengaged my defender on the left, which is pretty handy. So the rest of my turn, the defender shoots at the objective in the left hand zone, doing some damage to it, leaving on a couple of boxes. There's 2 Keltarii left nearish the rubble on the left hand side, so Strangeways aims and shoots at one, killing it, but also killing a friendly gobber mechanic. And Jake's energizes to get line of sight to the other Keltarii that Sturgis failed to kill with his feet. She energizes so she's got both line of sight to it and distance, because she was a bit far away from it. She charges it, boosts to hit, and takes him down. My Centurion on the left just walks up, pull out his shields. The 2 Centurions on the right walk up and start attacking the Aradus Sentinel. I make sure that each of them pops polarity shield, so it does take both of them to take down the Aradus Sentinel. And other than that, I think I kill a couple of Swordsmen, but that's pretty much it. Skorne turn 3. The Cyclops on the left moves up to contest the zone and get closer to the rest of the Skorne lines. He wants to get both of his Titans in on my Centurions, hoping to take 1 or more of them down. He can't charge with either of them, which is unfortunate for him. Makeda's put Quicken up on the Sentry. Beast Handler do Beast Handler things, like enraging them and getting them ready to go in. The Gladiator has to trample to get in, so he tramples, forfeits his initials, and then just starts buying on the Centurion on the right. Does some damage to it, but armor 24, it's pretty hard to crack. Then the Titan Sentry with Rush and Quicken manages to walk up, easily has room to get in, and starts attacking the same Centurion, the one on the right. I think they leave it on about 4 or 5 boxes, so it's still alive. Unfortunately, the only thing left is something like the movement or one of the arms. I've lost the Cortex, which is unfortunate. The Swordsman on the right managed to take down the objective this time, but because there's no beasts in the right hand zone, he does not score. Makeda and the Basilisk Krea move up behind the house, within 3 of a lot of the other beasts for shield guards, and the paralytic aura's up, so it's still pretty hard to kill her. So Cygnar turn 4. My charger on the right gets 2 boosted shots into the Paingiver Bloodrunner solo, misses both of them, and both Cyclones had already killed all of the Swordsmen in the right hand zone, so if I'd have just managed to do that, I'd have scored on the right, so unfortunately I don't. Strange Ways walks up and fixes the Centurion on the right. I think he fixes it for about 4. So it gets to make its initials into the Gladiator. It does a bit of damage. The other Centurion also attacks, but can't attack the Gladiator because he's too far away, so has to attack the Sentry. Does a bit of damage, but not much. Jake's energizes her defender, and then it charges the objective and finishes it. The Centurion on the left charges into the Cyclops Shaman and kills it, so I'll be scoring on the left hand zone this turn. Sturgis starts to move over to the left because he really doesn't want to die. So Skorne turn 4. The Titan Sentry manages to kill the damaged defender. The Gladiator moves to try and score the zone on the right, but the charger needs to die. So the Swordsmen pop their mini feet and attack the charger and damage it a bit. The Paingiver solo goes in and doesn't manage to finish off the charger, so he's unable to score on the right. He's only able to contest the left with Paingivers, and given that I've still got 2 fully healthy Centurions, a defender and 2 fully healthy Cyclones, my opponent decides to concede at this point. So it's a bit of an anticlimactic ending, but seeing as I haven't been able to put a bat wrap up for a while, my wife and I have just had our first child, so haven't been able to get to the club very often. I felt it was worth my time bat wrapping it anyway. I'm quite pleased with how the 3 Centurion build worked. The Cyclones were good on the feet turn, but outside of that they did kill a few Swordsmen, but I'm not really sure if they pulled their weight. My opponent found it quite frustrating not being able to charge 3 of my heavies. I think I'd like to see how it works into some other builds. But yeah, it was a good fun game. If you've got any thoughts on the list, the game, my list, his list, anything at all, drop them in a comment below. If there's anything you'd like to see me run in a list, like any Cygnar list you'd like to see me run, let me know. I've got the whole faction, so unless you plan on some crazy spam list, which I might not be able to do, I can probably run nearly anything. So let me know. Alright, catch you later.